Okay, we are live and ready to go. Apologies for that technical difficulties.
Alrighty. Welcome everyone. We are beginning the Wednesday, September 16th teleconference meeting of the Lafayette Design Review Commission. And our first order of business is roll call. I'll start. Patrick, Collins, Glenn.
I'm unmuted now?
Yes, you are now. Yes.
Okay. Glenn Cass, present.
Eugene
Eugene Sim here.
and John.
John Gray here.
All right, moving on. Adoption of the agenda. You got a motion to adopt?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
And a second?
Second.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Patrick, Glenn,
Aye.
Eugene,
Aye.
John.
Aye.
All right. Next item is the public comment. This is for opportunity for the public to make comments for items that are not on the agenda this evening. And Sarah, are there any comments?
So if you'd like to make a public comment, then please use the raise your hand function. Or if you're calling in, use *9. I don't see any public comment hands raised.
All right. Next item is consent calendar. We have draft meeting minutes from June 24th, draft meeting minutes from July 29th, and two items, DR 0918CC and HDP 1520 V0320 GR 0420, both of which we are being asked to continue items without discussion. Can I get a motion to
I make a
approve the?
motion to adopt the entire consent calendar.
All right. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Patrick says aye. Glenn,
Aye.
Eugene,
Aye.
John.
Aye.
All right. Next item, study sessions. There are none. And the next item is signs, S04-20. David Ford, Lafayette Land Company. And Renata is our planner. Renata.
Thank you. I just submitted the applicant. Okay. Let me share my screen. All right, everybody can see that drawing? Great. S04-20 is a request for a sign permit to update the existing internally illuminated wall sign with new signage for the Taco Bell location at 3501 Mount Diablo Boulevard. The existing sign on the Mount Diablo Boulevard frontage, which is the main entrance for the building, was installed in 1980 and is about 21 square feet in area. The total allowed signage for this property is 39 square feet, and the new proposal is just under 20 square feet. So this proposal would update the company logo and font to reflect new national branding for Taco Bell. And the sign would have a more simplified color scheme, which would remove the bright pink and yellow, including the original logo that's on the building today. The new sign would be similar in character to the existing wall sign and smaller in area. And the new sign would occupy approximately the same location on the building facade as the existing sign. Staff has received no public comment on this item, and staff is able to make the findings and recommends the project be approved as designed, subject to standard conditions. I'm available for any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Renata?
None.
All righty. Do we have an applicant?
Yep, this is David Ford. I am the applicant that submitted the application on behalf of Floresco Lighting and Signs, which is the contractor, and on behalf of Taco Bell. I don't have a lot to add, just pretty much as Renata ran through it, replacing existing channel letters and logo with the new corporate branding. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the applicant?
None here.
All righty. I don't have any questions. We don't have any questions, so we will open it up to public comment. Sarah or Renata, is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak?
If you would like to make a comment, please use the raise your hand function or *9 if you're calling in. I don't see any raised hands.
Wonderful. All right, I'm going to close the public comment period and I'll start. I have no issue at all with this sign application. Glenn?
I have no issue as well.
Eugene?
None whatsoever.
John?
Unanimous, none, no questions, no issues.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve as recommended by staff.
I'll second that motion.
All right, all those in favor? Patrick says aye. Glenn?
Aye.
Eugene?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. They know the 14-day deal, I
Yep.
hope.
Thank you very
Maybe.
much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, bye.
All righty. Next item is continued public hearings. There are none. And new public hearing, DR 10-20, Stanley Jacobs. And Renata is again our planner.
We're just letting in the applicants quickly.
Hey, Randy. I'm seeing a Stan Jacobs as an attendee. Should they also be introduced as a panelist?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, I think we have everybody. All right, should I begin my staff report, Commissioner Collins? Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, just checking. So tonight before the commission is DR 10-20, which is a request for design review for the demolition of an existing 2,124 gross square foot, one-story single-family residence and the construction of a new 3,971 square foot, one-story single-family residence at 741 Glenside Circle. The staff report had previously indicated a lower existing square footage, and the actual net increase of the gross square area would be 1,847 square feet. So the new proposed structure would be sited largely on the existing building pad and would expand to the north and east. The design is consistent with the R10 zoning code and complies with the setbacks and height limitations, as well as the parking requirements for this area. The new home would be in a farmhouse style, which is similar in character to the single-story ranch homes in the neighborhood, and successfully introduces elements of the residential design guidelines, such as the open gable roofs and articulated facades, which would satisfy the guidelines. However, staff is unable to make the findings surrounding size and massing of the design and did not recommend approval based on these issues. Many of the homes in the surrounding area have also not been updated since their original construction and generally have smaller footprint and presence than this proposed design. Staff found the central roof to not only be out of scale to the property's context, but also out of proportion to the areas of the building extending out towards Glenside Circle. Since publication of the staff report, it is my understanding that the applicant has responded to these concerns and developed alternative designs to address the size and massing issues for the commission's consideration. Staff had a chance to review the proposed changes with the applicant earlier today, and if the commission feels the revisions adequately address these issues, staff can return to the next scheduled meeting of the commission with an approval resolution and conditions of approval. Public notice of this hearing was sent out to all properties within 300 feet of the subject parcel, and as of this meeting, staff has received no written public comment. Staff has reviewed the proposal, considered the design and placement and impacts of the proposal, and recommends the commission review the proposal, conduct a public hearing, provide comments to the applicant, and continue the matter to the meeting of September 30th. I am available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Do any of the commission members have questions for Renata? Go ahead, John.
I have one quick question for Renata. Renata, reading your report, I just want to confirm there is no variance requested for any of the setbacks or other limitations on the site. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
in keeping with the setbacks.
Glenn or Eugene?
No comments or questions.
No comment.
Okay, Renata, I had a question. I am not familiar with the completeness of, or the complete requirement of the landscaping. And the landscaping calculations that were presented are only for the front of the property with the back to be developed. And that seems odd to me because it's not complete if it's only a third of the property. Can you give me some guidance on that?
So my understanding was that the rear of the property was not visible because it is fenced in by within 6 foot tall. The commission would like to provide a condition that be addressed. We can certainly do so.
Because there's a requirement for maximum water use, right? And if they're going to develop it later, but do the calculation based on only a third of the square footage, it's not really a complete calculation. Correct?
I can determine. So Sarah, do you have any input on
That's
this?
correct. Although in theory, they would need to come back and redo the water calculation if they were doing the other part of the landscaping and that added water. There may or may not be a trigger or threshold if that's the case, but according to law, that they would need to do that.
Okay. That's all I had. Do we have an applicant? Welcome. This is your opportunity to present to us.
Okay, so I'm sure you've all gone out to the site and seen the house out there. We're gonna tear down the existing house that has lots of structural problems and replace it with a brand new house. So we basically stayed very similar to what is existing out there right now with the parking on the right, the garage on the right, and the bedroom wing as far away as we can get it from Glenside Drive. Of course, the house has gotten bigger and trying to get a young family in there with a couple kids, an office to work from home in, and it's a 2-car garage. So other than that, it's pretty much a family type of house. I know we have some issues here, so I'd rather just jump right into those if possible.
Could you explain what you presented to Renata so we would at least have some idea of what that is
Okay, can I put something up on the screen?
as the modifications?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm looking at trying to either bring the roof down, the main ridge down a bit I had a 3 and 12 cutting up from the porch that hit a 5 and 12 coming down from that ridge. I could rake that 3 and 12 from the porch all the way up. And as you can see on the top elevation, I could lose some of that massing there. Or I could go to a 4 and 12. I'd also go ahead and put 3 dormers up there to help articulate the elevation a little bit more and to break up the massing of that roof, which I think it does really well. So that's my suggestion right now. I really like the bottom one at the 4 and 12 because I can still have a bit of a roof break from the porch to the main roof. And that looks really good on the farmhouse style. I can show you a section as well here.
What is the
Bear
total
with me.
height? What is the maximum height on the 3 and 12?
Well, it's 2'10" less. I'm sorry, 2'2" less than what's on the plans right now. Oh man, you guys are covering up my stuff. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the 3 and 12 would take it down another 2'1". The 4 and 12 would be around 10 inches. But from the sidelines, from the streets, the dormers would really break up the massing of that roof. I have to end up stick framing that area instead of using trusses, but
Do you have a roof plan? Do you have a roof plan to show us as well?
I don't at this time. I'd have to refer back to the old roof plan. Basically works the same as what the other roof plan was, with the exception of adding the dormers onto it.
So I have a question on this roof. You know, the other roof area that is lower, where is that? Is that the parking garage or something lower? Is there a reason why you need this roof this high? Is there some reason internally programming or some attic space or something about this form that you need from the inside? I wanted to understand your internal driver here. Out externally it looks nice, but we have a massing issue and height kind of a thing. And as long as you're underneath it, perhaps, but we need to look at from overall context of the surrounding neighborhood. I was just wondering, are there any internal program drivers here for you to have it this high?
No, it's just basically the span that I'm dealing with.
Okay, thank you.
Glenn or John, any questions?
Well, I had the same question as Eugene, basically, is because when I'm looking at the interior, it looks like the kitchen is about as high as the ceiling. So it looks like you've added just a lot of attic space by raising the roof without being really functional. And I think that it would reduce the mass significantly to knock it down quite a distance. The 3:1 ratio, in my opinion, is better than the 4:1. You know, taking it down 2 feet. But I don't have any other questions.
If you used I have a good question. If you used a standard stick frame for the backside, since you're using it for the front, and didn't use the manufactured truss, you could lower it to 4 and 12, and that would also bring down the height of the roof, wouldn't it?
Well, it would, and going back to the driver, that was probably one that I should have mentioned, is that I'm trying to use those trusses in there because I have a long cathedral in the kitchen, kitchen, breakfast, and family room. And the beam would become quite large and I'd probably have to use a crane to set it. So I wanted to go ahead and use the trusses to frame that cathedral and then just fake a box beam in there.
All righty.
I mean, I've got the 17-foot line here that runs through this, and I'm 4'8" to the highest point where it'd be the 4 and 12 pitch. And that occurs mostly in the central locations of the building. So I really don't feel like the massing is all that onerous compared to, you know, if I had to bring it down to the 3 and 12.
I hear you. All right. No other questions for the applicant. Thank you.
I do. May I?
Oh, sorry, John. I didn't see your hand or anything. Go ahead.
Yeah, like, literally, I didn't have to push the button. I'm just wondering if we can have any indication of how the proposed massing for this house compares to the neighbors on either side. I have not seen a context elevation that shows the adjacent buildings or screening around them. I'd like to see that, but absent that, is there any way that you can describe how the height of this and the apparent mass compares to the house on either side?
Well, I think it compares very favorably to the house on the left. The street slopes gradually up, but I believe that the gable end, I think it's a garage there. I'm not 100% sure right now, but I think that it's very favorable to the massing along the bedroom wing that we have, which would be just about the height if I was to knock the massing down on this to the 3 and 12. That would just about match the bedroom wing.
Mhm.
The house on Glenside Drive is a lower house. It's the garage on that side. I would say a lot of this house would very much come close to that, with the exception of what I do jump up above the 4 or the 17-foot line. But
Okay,
most of this
thank you.
house, okay.
The other question I had was to get a better understanding of the landscape at the street frontage. There is a little retaining wall that with a couple of steps down into the front yard. And I'd like to understand what the landscape looks like from the street, from the sidewalk. I mean, I just don't know what you see there. That's all. Is that in your package?
It should be in the package, the landscape plan.
Is there a landscape elevation? I mean,
There's just plans. I don't believe he has an elevation.
so is that image below your light fixture A? Is that what we're expecting the frontage to look like? Anyway, I guess I just want to say I would like to understand the frontage, and I can't based on this submission.
Well, I believe that's what he's referring to is a small fence there. With this, I can't move this.
It's just, anyway, if you can clarify to me what your intent is.
Can you explain that to us?
Well, I'm not the landscape architect, so I think he should have been noticed if there was questions for him.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to ask, John?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So that now is the opportunity for the public to speak on this. Do we have any members from the public that wish to speak?
We do. So if you would like to speak, please use the raise your hand function or press *9. Looks like Bob McLean would like to come in, so I will promote him to a panelist.
Now, you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Hot dog. Okay, Bob McLean, Lafayette, and I just have a process question. So this is a residential housing development project application. Therefore, the Housing Accountability Act should apply. From going through the Terraces project recently, the city is quite aware of the Housing Accountability Act. And the act clearly states that if a project is subject to the HAA and meets all of the objective zoning criteria, as this project appears to do, the project cannot be denied. So it can't be denied for subjective reasons. And in fact, the city attorney at a city council meeting at some point in the past during a presentation of the recently strengthened Housing Accountability Act saying something like, oh, a project feels too big, you can't say that. So despite this project being a HAA project, the staff report says things like unable to make the findings because of size and massing, appears out of scale, it's out of proportion, out of character. These are all subjective criteria, unfortunately. In fact, tonight, and the DRC has mentioned massing in context. So all of these things are objective. They're not, I mean, all these things are subjective, not objective. So it's really not legal for the city to require any non-objective size and massing demands. So if the city feels that this project, this residential housing development project, is not subject to the HAA, can the city please explain why not? Or if the city does agree that this project is subject to the HAA, why does the city feel it can ignore state law by requiring changes due to non-objective criteria? So like I say, it's a process question. Thank you.
Is that something you want to answer, or you want to punt that to someone else, Sarah?
I would love for the city attorney to respond to that.
Figured. All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this subject?
I don't see any other hands raised.
All right, since there was a public comment, you have the opportunity to rebut it or address it if you'd like, as the applicant.
I say we just approve it. Go forward.
Okay, so I'm going to close that portion of the public comment, and I don't know who wants to start with this one. You want to start, Glenn?
Sure. Couple comments. Number one is I did visit the site. I have to tell you is the story poles that were constructed are actually the most descriptive that I've seen at any site yet. I mean, it was very easy to see what the architectural design was going to be based on the story poles. In regards to the relationship of that property to the neighborhood, there is construction immediately across the street, which is a 2-story building. However, that house is, the upper story is set back considerably from, and the massing of that house is much different. They retained a lot of the original house on the right-hand side and added a 2nd-story addition to the left-hand side. The relationship to the other properties doesn't really detract substantially from the height. Doesn't have a major impact to the other surrounding properties on both the court and on Glenside. The landscaping plan is okay. I mean, the question that was raised about how to handle the backyard is of consideration. Because the truth of the matter is that they probably won't come back to you. And therefore, we have no idea whether what exactly will be put in and what its water usage will be. But the existing water usage for the front is acceptable. I'm not a big fan of the lawn that's put in, but the rest of the shrubs are fine. And in general, that's just my personal preference on the lawn, because I think that we've experienced enough drought years that lawns just aren't needed in Lafayette. And in fact, the existing lawn that's there right now is dead. So they've already experienced a year without a lawn. In regards to the massing, if I had my preference, I would go lower than what we have on the 3-in-1. But if I had to select something that was actually presented to us, I would take the 3-in-1 over the 4-in-1. And other than that, I do, I would have some concerns about what the massing on the backside looks like. But when I went around to those properties and looked at it, it doesn't have a major impact on the neighborhood itself. And of course, what Mr. McLean's comments are vital for us to understand what position we can take in regards to the overall project. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Eugene?
Yes, Chair. I wanted to just comment on a couple items that I would like to see at the follow-up. One is a roof plan to better understand the work of the roof related to how it looks on the elevation, so we can make that clearer. And I'm with Glenn. I would prefer 3-to-1. Of course, that would be a better way to, kind of reduce the height of it. Also, as John mentioned, I would like to see a cross section through the front, where the sidewalk is, like a cross section through there to the front door of the house, so I can get an understanding of the grades and the landscape features that I think John was trying to capture, and I'm also with John trying to understand how that works there. So that's it, really, on my side. More information so I can make further observation and make a decision on it. Thank you.
I need to clarify something. So the roof slope for both Glenn and Eugene is either 3 and 12 or 4 and 12. So 3 and 12 is going to be flatter, but 1 and 4 is going to be flatter. So that's the fractions. So are we talking, are you looking for the flatter roof or the second in the 3?
I'm looking
flatter, for me flatter. But
So 3 and 12, not 1 and 3.
Right.
Actually, 4 and
3
12.
and 12. 3 and 12. Correct.
3 and 12.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I just wanted to clarify. All right, John?
Well, just because that's out front right now, I agree with the others that the 3 and 12 pitch both reduces the height and takes the ridge line and pulls a little further from the street, which I think is helpful in the apparent massing, and I think the dormers are also helpful. I think the character of the design of the house, I think is nice and consistent with the neighborhood, so I like to see that. The bright white color in your rendering, I'm hoping that's not a color selection and that's just a study at this point.
But that's a study.
I would like to see a softer, more muted, earthy kind of tone that's consistent with the neighborhood. Other than that, if we see you again, it would be nice to better understand context. The section drawing that Eugene suggested, I think would be helpful. I would also like to see at least a profile view of the height of the adjacent homes next to it. Or a photo montage or whatever is easiest to tell the story.
So like a street elevation or like the site sections that I provided?
Yeah, there's an SS drawing that has sort of the neighborhood.
Help me understand. Glenside Circle.
I can pull it up.
I'm looking at SS right now, and I read it as looking across the street. Is there anything that is along the street?
Okay, it's like a street elevation.
Yeah, just at the same level of detail that you have right here.
No, that hasn't been provided, so I can provide that.
Okay, thank you. But other than that, I think it's a very nice looking house.
Thank you.
I agree with the previous comments. I like the style of the house. I think you've done a great job with the architecture. The roof is big. It's a lot of roof. I think reducing the height by using a 3 and 12 would be ideal. I have an additional kind of concern that when you go to 3 and 12, the dormers, if they're going to be lined up with the front of the house, will be extremely long, and from the side have quite a weird appearance. I would like to see you change the slope on the back of the house to bring the ridge forward to shorten the length of that roof that you're seeing from the front. So that gives you less of the mass you're going to see. So as you flatten the back, you'll bring that. You saw that in your drawings. You understand what I'm talking about. I think it's 5 and 12 on the back. If you made that 4 and 12, even, it's going to pull that forward by probably a foot or two and shorten the dormer length by that same amount. So I'd like you to look at that. I also want to see a complete, the landscaping drawings say that they're signed by a landscape architect. It says that this is a complete landscaping package. I don't feel that it's a complete landscaping package that only addresses half of the property. This is in essence a new house. It's a new application. Even if you don't put in the landscaping, I want to see the complete package. So it's not just something to be done at a later date. You can do it at a later date, but I'd like to see it as a complete package. But other than that, everything else that's been said, I think you're on the right track. The dormers are a great add. I think it looks very nice. I just think if you shorten the length or depth of the inslope, it'll be a benefit. So those are my comments. Renata, we need a motion that has all that in it. Do you need us to say all that, or can you summarize what all of our comments were?
Certainly. So what I've heard tonight from the commission is unanimous vote to, or unanimous consent to lower the roof slope to 3/12, to include the dormers on the street facing facade, provide more muted colors for the exterior paint, provide a site section from the street to the proposed building, and a complete building plan, as well as street elevations of neighboring buildings.
And I think Eugene was looking for a roof plan. I think that would
Oh, and
be
a roof
useful
plan.
so we can really see the length of the ridge of the dormer, because if you use 3 and 12 without bringing the back down, it's going to be quite long because it'll be almost to the peak of the roof. So yeah, that would be beneficial. Did that get everyone's comments?
Yeah, one last
Yeah.
comment.
John and
Drawing L 2.0 calls out that the Amwello documentation is on sheet L 3.1, but there is no sheet L 3.1. I think they meant that it would be on L 2.1.
And Renata, you included my comment about the landscaping being a complete package.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll just
Then-
clarify, if you would like them to show the landscaping, but don't necessarily need them to install it, they would need to make a note on the plan, because if we say these are the approved plans, then we come out to do the final.
I understand. I'm absolutely fine with them doing it at a later date, but I would like to see the plan as a complete package. And if they want to say they're going to do that later, great. But I want to see the plan and the calculations, because that's what the intent is of all of this. So that is my motion. Can I get a second?
Seconded.
All right. And I will go through. All those in favor? Patrick says aye. Glenn?
Aye.
Eugene?
Aye.
And John. There you go, unanimous. That's our motion. And, oh, do we need to do a date certain to kick it? We were talking about it coming back, but I don't know. Was that did we? It sounds like a lot of work for him to get done in a couple of days.
Prove it with
You're
the
not doing
wisdom.
anything else, right?
Yeah, I'm at home all the time.
So are we extending it for 2 weeks, or, which means you have to be done in a week?
Oh,
I might recommend just doing the October or the September 30th meeting, and then if he's unable to get the plans in time, then we can continue it on the consent
Excellent.
calendar.
Is that modified? Do we need to vote on that again, or can we just add that in? Date certain?
Date certain is
You-
this September
good.
30th for now.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks for coming in.
thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, going on with the agenda. Other business. ARC volunteer for the 18th?
I can do it unless someone else wants a turn. I guess I'm doing it.
Doesn't seem like everyone's jumping at once.
Thanks, Glenn.
All righty. And commissioners report, anyone have anything to report?
Yeah.
I do have something, yes.
Oh, go ahead, John.
I wanted to report to the group that Greg Wolf asked me to join him in a conversation with the project team for the Terraces project to talk with them about early ideas and what they're doing next now that they recently have planning and city council approval to proceed with the project. So we met with the developer, representatives of the design team to review very preliminary sketchy things, not to suggest approval of anything, but rather what kind of track are they on? Does it seem like they're moving in a right direction, given that it is not in our purview to challenge the basic size or entitlement of the project. So we reviewed some of their sort of sketch level site plans, what they considered kind of inspirational images for project appearance. And I think Greg and I agreed that their direction is very positive as compared with the 2011 project. I'm not sure if any of you remember that. That was a pale stucco project with a lot of horizontal roof lines. And in comparison with this, the massing is very much broken down. Lots of pitched roofs, a vocabulary that I think is much more consistent with the general residential character of Lafayette, softer, darker colors. So we felt that they were moving generally in the right direction. We had some specific questions on where 2-story buildings were versus 3-story buildings. I mean, there's going to be a lot of building out there, more than really anybody is comfortable with, but it's not at this point for us to question the magnitude of the project. Just look at how we can mitigate its visual appearance to better blend in with the landscape and context. So just to report to you all when we will be talking to them at some point in the future, Greg and I did have at least that one meeting with them.
You, John, Glenn?
Yeah, I just wanted to report that on Monday's city council meeting on diversity issues on item number 13B, I resubmitted a letter that was the idea that I had introduced almost 2 years ago about a fee structure for larger homes to be assessed and for the city to do a nexus study. And my son also presented a letter and also talked in the Zoom meeting about the same item and some other items. We both had some other items as well. I just wanted to let you know that the city council decided to basically punt that idea into a general package of review of the general plan, which is basically a project that will take at least 5 years, in my opinion. So nothing is going to happen in my lifetime.
Hopefully that's not true. Eugene, you have anything?
No, I don't. Yeah, no comment.
Awesome. All right, if there's nothing else, then we shall adjourn. It was good seeing you guys. See you next
Yeah.
time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, stay safe, everyone. Bye. Take care.
I know.